is a line? Google defines a line as a long mark or band. It's kind of a simple definition if you really think about it, but I like to believe that a line can be so much more than just what it appears to be. A line can be many different things. If you look at the world around you, like if you look around where you currently are right now, your brain interprets 3D objects as just a thing that's in front of you. But if you really think about it, it consists of what could be looked at as lines. Think about the screen that you're currently looking at, right? If you look up at the borders of the screen, those are lines, right? Every single part of the world we live in consists of lines. We don't generally make that distinction because of how we get caught up in our daily lives and think about anything else that happens in our lives, but if you really sit down and look at the world around you, it consists of lines. And so, today I decided, why not try to go a bit more in depth into that concept of lines and mostly of lines in general. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but for me, high school was really weird. I was homeschooled, so I have and had quite a lot of free time. Now, because of that, during my senior year, I was only involved in 3 out of the 6 classes that we had, and so I had a lot of time where I just kind of had to sit in our classroom and not do a whole lot. So I got into drawing. I did have the issue of I never really felt like taking classes or looking up tutorials online. I just liked putting ink on paper and just doing whatever, and just doodling and stuff. And originally I didn't think anything of it because I just liked doing it, but as time went on, I slowly got better at it to the point where I thought it was pretty interesting to look at and pretty fun to do, so I kept doing it, and slowly I got better. So this is what I'm currently making and what I enjoy doing, and I feel like it's a part of me now. It's something that I just can't not do on occasion. Every 6 months or so I have to go back and start working on that kind of stuff again, or I just lose my mind, basically, because that creative itch just comes back, you know? And as as a very small portion of you might know, I originally started out this whole situation on TikTok. Also, if you're from TikTok, then cool. I really appreciate you coming over from TikTok to here. Anyway, I'm rambling. So, for those of you who have been on TikTok, you have seen that I started there originally intending on doing pure blacksmith work. Because of that, I knew that I wanted to make something in that vein, right? So thinking about what I was talking about with the art, I had been doing that for a long time. And I came up to a point where I could tell that the TikTok wasn't really working out, and I needed to branch out into YouTube and see if I could get any more room there, or any further along there. From that point, I realized I wanted to make larger stuff, and I wanted to try to do something truly special with this setup. So I realized, how about we try to make the art that I've been making, and turn it 3D, you know? While we're talking about line art and what it really is, I want to discuss with you the history of line art and how it came out to be and what it originally was. Line art dates back nearly 75,000 years. The first known drawings made by humans were found on a rock flake in South Africa and is estimated to be 37,000 years old. Line art's been around for a very, very long time, which makes sense because whenever you really think about it, like, I know a lot of you have been around a campfire with some friends and have just looked down and started doing doodles in the the dirt and stuff, and like, or you've been in a classroom with an empty classroom with a whiteboard and seen the markers and just started drawing, like even if it was a smiley face. People for a very long time have wanted to leave a lasting mark on their reality in order to show that they were there, to be honest. It's a fundamental human need to point out that we exist. We are here. We, like, later on thinking about how, like, if you go out into an alleyway and write so-and-so was here, then you know that those people, anybody who comes through there and later on is going to see that and know that you exist. And that's fundamental and interesting to consider how the human condition is just like that. And I guess it's pretty obvious to assume that people from our past would be doing the same thing, wanting to show that they were there in some way. Or Mr. Caveman Bro was just as interested in trying to point out that lines look cool as I was. You know what I mean? And understanding that and really knowing it is something that I want to kind of acknowledge in the making of this project. And thinking about how there was a guy or a group of people who saw a cave wall and decided that they were gonna leave their mark and put something here that would be seen for a very, very long time. And while it might not be true that their original intention was to do that, I still feel like there is power in that. And I suppose now is a good time to acknowledge what's really going on and what I'm actually doing with this project. So on here you can see me putting a lot of holes in some angle iron that I cut over the course of the past few minutes. Now, this angle iron is going to be used in the making of a cube. That cube is an important cube. That cube is important because it is going to serve as the origin point for everything that I'm going to be creating in the rest of this series. But rather than get into spoilers of the rest of the series, for now I'm just going to talk to you about the making of the cube. So, as I've discussed, you've been seeing me punch quite a lot of holes. These holes are going to be the connection points between each part of the cube. There are 12 pieces of angle iron that are being put together in order to make a 3-dimensional cube here. I can go ahead and quench each piece, and once they're all cooled off, the last step is for me to put it all together. And I'm gonna do that by using these bolts, and once I have those all put in together, the last step is to paint it. By the end of this project, this cube will be the main centerpiece that holds everything together. So I want it to pop and be visually distinct from the rest of the piece. In order to do that, I decided the best way was to paint it a metallic gold. Because once everything rusts out and starts to turn a rust red color, that gold is gonna pop so well. And I think I was right. I really love how this thing turned out, considering how little experience I have with spray paint. But once we have that done, next we have to work on the outside portions of the project. Now, the outside portions of this project are going to be a bit more difficult to explain, mostly because it requires quite a bit of 3-dimensional thinking, but I believe in you. So, the outside consists of 4 4-foot flat bar pieces that I'm going to be putting a top and bottom hole in. From there, I also need to put in 4 more additional holes. Now in those 4 additional holes, I'm going to be putting thin round bar stock and using that to bend down towards the center where I'm going to be putting the cube and have those lines that it travels towards the center be those lines that create those flowing patterns and nice structure that we're looking for in this project. But we're not going to be getting to that until the next video. So instead, let's talk about the more modern uses for line art in itself. Now, line art in itself has been used to convey many different meanings over the course of a very, very long history, as we've established. So I think we need to consider how line art is being used today. Line art is used more today as a way to convey the beginnings of an idea. It's mostly someone doing light sketching with something that's erasable or on a completely separate page from what they're planning on using in order to get down their concept for what they want the end goal to be. It's an important step in the process of any artist who really wants to do what they're doing and do it well, because it allows you to visualize what your end product needs to be in order to complete it more accurately, correct? So, I think there's a very important distinction between line art and how I see line art, because lines can be so much, and it's true that they can be very useful for quick sketches and things of that nature, but I think it's also important to consider how they can be used for art by themselves. Consider several different artists and consider what they do and things that and the way they see the world, you know? And I believe that can be very interesting and fun to do. I think there is something to consider that the reason I might have such strong feelings about this is that I don't have any formal training and have barely tried to do any formal training. It allows me to see art in a different way, and I think that's special in many different ways, because anybody can do a doodle, right? And I think anybody who can do a doodle can understand that whenever you do something consistently, you get better at it. And I think there's something important to consider whenever you think about how if anybody can do it, I can do it. And if I can do it, I'm pretty sure everybody else can do it. So, looking at these pictures that I've made over the course of probably 5 years or so, you can see how I've gotten better over time. And I believe that's special. And it's not only special because of how it was fun and interesting for me to do, but it's special because I think anybody can do it. All you have to really do is just pull out a blank sheet of paper, and it has to be blank, mind you, and do an arc with your pen, or with your pencil, or whatever you're using. Then see the curve of that line, and draw another line that either matches it, or goes with it, you know? Like how you see me doing here. Or you just have to put some dots, like even taking a pencil or a pen, and starting at the top of the page, just doing dots all the way down, can look really cool. And as you get more invested in making sure that you finish the page, you start to realize that you can mess with it a little bit, change up the patterns of how you space the dots, you know? Or take those dots and don't put dots in specific places. Like thinking of those like little things that you change over the course of a long period of time, make it so that you can do so much and be so creative. And I feel like the barrier of entry is so low that anybody can do it. And it scratches a very specific itch that I think a lot of people have that they just don't realize they have. And while I think it's important to understand that that little creative itch is small in its own way, but it's a doorway to something much larger that most people don't recognize. It's a way to a large amount of positive mental attitude type stuff that really helps you in your life. Like, take me for instance. I have always been and probably will always be fairly socially awkward, as you probably could tell. But starting to do blacksmith work and starting to do the kind of work that I do has allowed me to increase my confidence. It allows me to go out and see this type of stuff that I've done and gives me that confidence boost that I need to talk to people and gives me the ability to know that I am a competent person and have something that's mine that I can do. It might not seem like that big of a deal when you first start out doing it, but it really does grow over time and become something better that you didn't think would really change you much. And while considering that the internet has become the information highway that it is, I believe it's worth considering that most of our reality is set up in a physical fashion. That while it is nice to have all of this information just at our fingertips, it's very easy to be caught up in how our perceived reality is different from actual reality. And I'm not trying to say internet bad, you should just stop using it and get off of it and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm here, you're on YouTube, I'm on TikTok, you know. But I think there is a very specific feeling that comes from having something that is wholly yours. And a very easy way to do that is by picking up a pen and picking up a piece of paper and just starting. You don't have to put yourself in a high-pressure situation of, I want to have this thing turn out this way, and I want to start it and finish it and have it be good first try, because that's not how life works. The best way to do it is to pull out the pen and the paper and start and keep going until you want to stop. That could be 5 minutes, that could be 10 seconds, that could be 2 minutes. It doesn't matter. But once you've done that for a set period of time, you'll start to notice yourself getting better at it. And once you get to a certain point, you start to become proud of what you've done. And having that physical item in front of you is powerful and interesting and fun and enjoyable to have. And I think that's important for people to see and understand. And I feel like that's the message that I'm trying to put out with this framework, is physicality is important and not something we should forget. So, this project is going to be done over the course of several different videos. We'll be talking more about how the videos are going to be set up later. You will get there. Now, from here, the work you're seeing me do is the framework of what I'm going to be setting up for this series. Basically, right now we're going to be talking a lot about what a line is, what line art is, setting up the ideas so that we can think about and talk about them more later on. There's something special about geometric line art and the flow of lines and things of that nature that I feel needs to be discussed more, because it's not a very popular form of media. There's not much going on there. You see Zentangles on Reddit, and you see the occasional Mandela effect that looks kind of cool, but you don't really see it in mainstream media outside of some high art and some modern art. And I think that it could be so much more than what's being shown, you know? And I believe that we can do more and say more and show more of that kind of art, and that more is what I'm trying to capture and point out in this series and with this project. And I want to try to impart that feeling onto you and help you understand my perspective and my life better through this project and these videos. And I hope that's something that you and anybody else who watches this video can understand and appreciate. So with that, we're coming close to the end of this, and I just want to say that if you're interested in being a part of this project, or if you're interested in knowing more about it, then now would be the time to like and follow. And if you want to see or get more updates on the project, then you can check out my TikTok, or you can just subscribe and follow here and wait until the next video comes out. I really appreciate you and everybody else getting to this point if you're watching still, and I hope you have a great day. Go ahead, subscribe, like, follow, comment, do all of the stuff and the things. Have a good day. Bye.